guys, I'm Colleen, and in this video I'm going to be comparing my 2015 MacBook Pro with my brand new 2021 M1 iMac. Let's dive in. I know that this video might seem silly and it's a bit of a runaway, but I'm doing it anyways because if you were in a situation like me where you had a trusty computer like the 2015 MacBook Pro and you are looking to upgrade or supplement with an additional computer, you probably would have wanted this exact video to help you make your choice. So I am here for you. And if you had the 2015 MacBook Pro or a similar computer, you would know that it is a hard decision to just up and leave your trusty old laptop, because this has been very trustworthy for me. Honestly, I got it in 2015. It has now been 6 years. It is still running okay. It is running pretty comparable to what it should be running, I'll say that. But it is very trusty. I know this laptop well. We have been through many projects together. I edited a 4K feature film on this laptop, so I am not so quick to just get rid of it, but I knew that I needed an additional computer to support my workload, so that is why I kind of made a bit of an impulse decision and bought this computer right here. And so I am excited to give you guys the full comparison, so let's dive right in. The first thing I want to talk about is probably the most important one, and that is speed. And this is speed specifically when it comes to me working in Adobe Creative Suite, working in either After Effects or in Premiere Pro, and how it is comparable to the new M1 iMac. The difference is pretty obvious. In my 2015 MacBook Pro, I can barely play back almost any project. I have a lot of difficulty with playback. First of all, I know I always keep it in, the lowest playback resolution, but even then, and dumping my cache all the time, it just has incredibly slow playback, so much so that I usually, if I really need to make detailed decisions, I will just export it and let it go and do something else, and then come back and watch the export and then make edits based off of that, because the playback is just so slow. In terms of whenever I am adding graphics to my videos, I will have to turn off the eyeball on the footage layer because it just crawls if I have the footage layer on. It just has so much trouble processing footage, and it's not 4K footage either. It is just regular 1080 footage, if that. And it just has a lot of trouble processing big projects in Premiere. It definitely was one of the biggest decisions why I chose to get an additional computer. And I will say I am very happy with my decision to buy the new M1 iMac because it runs like a dream. For the most part, I have very little problems with running Premiere or After Effects on my M1 iMac. I can play back video fine, even in full resolution in terms of the playback. It runs fine on the M1 iMac. Graphics are zero problem. There's, no lagging whenever I'm creating graphics, which is so helpful, because that's probably one of the most frustrating things, is if I'm literally just adding text to a video and it is just like dragging. It's like, oh my gosh, it just makes me want to, it's just very frustrating. So very happy with the Premiere performance, and as far as After Effects goes, it is just about the same. It runs great in After Effects. It can process things so much more quickly than it can in my MacBook Pro. I mean, this is all very obvious. There's a 6-year difference between these two computers. There's so much technology that has formed since then. I knew that there was going to be a very significant improvement, so it's no surprise. But definitely it is M1 iMac 1, MacBook Pro 0 in terms of this comparison so far. Now, next up that I would like to talk about is the ports and my new port limitations that I have to deal with now. I know that with any new computer you get, the ports just become less and less. Maybe they want it to look sleeker, maybe they want you to buy new adapters, fine, whatever. This point for sure goes to my MacBook Pro, because not only did my MacBook Pro have 2 USB 3 ports, it has 2 Thunderbolt ports, it has an HDMI port, it also has an SD card built in, which if I don't give this computer up for any reason, it would be specifically for that, because it is very awesome. I mean, I guess I could just buy an adapter, but it is nice not having to do that and just having it built into the computer. One less thing to have to plug in. So I do love that about my MacBook Pro. Now, in the M1 iMac, it is a lot more limited. You basically have to get adapters for everything. All of my hard drives are USB 3 ports. I knew automatically that I I needed to buy some adapters because in the M1 iMac, it is 2 Thunderbolt USB-C 4 ports and 2 USB-C 3 ports. So I had to buy some adapters. I bought 2 Anker 1-to-1 adapters specifically for my hard drives. And then I also bought an Anker 4-port USB 3 hub with 1 USB-C adapter. So far so good. I am very happy with both of those adapters. You can find them both in the description below if you are interested in getting them. If you are going to be purchasing an M1 iMac like this, I know that, you know, you just have to get adapters sometimes. It's just the way that it is. You know, if there's some reason that I don't have to do that, I'm always happy about that. So for the ports category, the point definitely goes to the MacBook Pro for just having more accessible, a little more classic ports that I can adapt to a little more easily. It is MacBook Pro 1, iMac also 1. The next category, I'm just calling it the power category. So not necessarily speed and performance, but just overall power. Now, I know that my MacBook Pro crashes sometimes. A little unpredictably. It's something that I'm used to. It just happens with an old computer, especially a laptop. I know that the power is not great, and that definitely has a significant impact on my workflow. I know that it takes a little while for programs like Premiere Pro or Photoshop to open on my computer. However, I wasn't expecting the same problem with my M1 iMac. My M1 iMac takes a very long time to open up programs like After Effects or Premiere Pro. Like, suspiciously long. And I know that this has a lot to do with where it's pulling its storage from. I may have to do some configuring of my own to better the performance with that. But I'm just a little bit surprised that right off the bat, plenty of storage left in there. It's surprising that I'm experiencing that on my M1 iMac. As far as just the overall power goes, in terms of it just being able to handle a lot of programs being open, the M1 iMac also I'm a little bit concerned about because it freezes. It has frozen on me maybe twice now when I didn't even have any Adobe programs open. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. It is a brand new computer. It may need to work out some kinks like I expected that to happen, but I'm just a little bit disappointed in that. And so while I know that the M1 iMac is a stronger computer, I'm just a little bit disappointed in a few things in terms of what it's been able to handle so far and kind of, you know, noticing those quirks in terms of just the power. So I'm actually giving this point to my old 2015 MacBook Pro because even though it is not that powerful, it is what I would expect from this laptop versus what I would expect from this M1 iMac. I am holding the M1 iMac to higher standards, and so point goes to the MacBook Pro. Okay, a big thing that I also want to talk about is the color difference between the MacBook Pro and the M1 iMac. I am just so thrown off. I have known that Apple and the color on their computers is not necessarily correct. I know that it is not, you know, properly calibrated. I know that if I want to do some serious color correction, I'm going to need to buy an external monitor that is properly calibrated. I know that. However, what I wasn't expecting is the significant difference in the saturation between my 2015 MacBook Pro and the new 2021 M1 iMac. It's very significant. And so I'm left to wonder what is right. I know that my MacBook Pro was a little undersaturated compared to if I were to watch the same thing on a different monitor. I know that it always looks different. So more than likely, my guess is that the M1 is closer to what footage should look like. What was looking good to me when I would color on my 2015 MacBook Pro is now looking grossly oversaturated on my new iMac. And so I am left with a lot of research that I have to do and a lot of just self-calibrating, I guess, because there's not much I can do about it. I already tried to adjust the saturation on the M1 iMac and I can't figure out how to do it. So if anybody knows anything about that, please leave a comment below. But otherwise, I am just sort of self-adjusting to that. And in the meantime, I will just be pulling my hair out over here. So I do not know who the point goes to on this because the color is different. That's cool. The color looks great on the M1 iMac. It's just leaving me in a state of complete confusion. So I don't know. I can't even say who the point will go to on that one. I guess the iMac, because it is just so different and the colors do look great in general on that computer. In general, there are plenty of quirks on each computer, and I have not quite come to understand the quirks of the fancy new iMac yet, which is frustrating to me because when I am in the zone and I am in a workflow as a full-time freelance video editor, it's hard for me to have to adjust, obviously, to a new computer. Like anybody would have trouble with that. Still a work in progress. We are not exactly friends yet, but I am working on that, on getting to know her. I have not named her yet, but I am getting to know her, and hopefully we can trust each other a little bit better and work together a little bit better, because for now I am just missing on my 2015 MacBook Pro. I actually keep using it a lot because it's just easier for me, and also it's nice that it's portable, which is another part of the reason why I wanted a little of each. I wanted the portability of my laptop that I could take into the other room if I needed to, and I obviously love the speed of my new fancy iMac. So overall, iMac, definitely a better computer, just, you know, a new computer that I need some getting used to, and I'm happy to say that I am keeping my 2015 MacBook Pro just in case, and also just to do some additional work as well. Since you made it this far, please hit the like button below and hit subscribe for more tips on video editing, freelance lifestyle, and creativity. Again, I'd love to hear your comments below on if you had a 2015 MacBook Pro or if you still have one. If you are looking to make the jump to a new fancy iMac, please check out these videos next for more on my new purchase, as well as new videos about video editing lifestyle. Again, I'm Colleen, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one.